And in the Impact segment tonight, our pal Charles Krauthammer believes that Obamacare is, quote, a gigantic bait and switch. Also, an article in the Wall Street Journal today says the president does not have the constitutional power to delay the Obamacare law. Joining us now from Washington is Mr. Dr. Krauthammer. I'm not going to downgrade you to a Mr. It's a doctor. All right, let's explain the bait and switch first.
Look, the promise of this president was Obamacare won't cost a penny. Now, anybody who's got a mind would understand if you're going to give health care to 30 million people who haven't had it, there is no free lunch. But he kept pretending, and they kept putting provisions in the law that would make the CBO create estimates on these provisions that would show that it would pay for itself. Now, a lot of them have already been completely discounted. And one of them is this employer mandate. That was supposed to be a source of revenue. Well, lo and behold, we're not going to have that. There have been other elements of the law. For example, if you want to be eligible for the government subsidies of these health insurance from the exchanges, you have to prove that you're eligible. Well, that was tossed out last week as well. So on one side, we're going to get less revenue. On the other side, we're going to get huge amounts of waste and fraud. We know the costs are escalating, and we know it's going to cost a fortune to the Treasury, and we're going to have to raise taxes across the board.
So the Congressional Budget Office,
that's the bait and switch.
All right, that was the CBO that you were referring to. The Congressional Budget Office.
But the CBO isn't acting wantonly. It has to follow what's written in the law. And what Obama did is he put all the bait and switch stuff in the law, which created the estimates that it would be okay. Now all of these measures are removed, and now we can starkly see how much it will bankrupt the Treasury.
Let me break this down so even I can understand it, all right? You know how I am.
A simple man, I've been told.
Beyond simple, into a realm where we really don't have a descriptive adjective.
Don't worry, I'll come up with one.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Striving.
The president's vision that he put forth to the American people was that this new Obamacare law, which is a income redistribution play, to give poor people who can't afford insurance the same access to health care as the rich people or the affluent people. But it wasn't going to cost the taxpayer money, according to President Obama, because he was going to do it in an ingenious way. He's going to put the burden on corporate America and set up exchanges that were going to drive health costs down. You're saying that all of that is a phantom. It's a fiction. It isn't going to happen. Now, do you assert that President Obama knew it wasn't going to happen and did it in a deceitful way? Are you asserting that?
I was saying that 2 years ago, long before this. I said it's mathematically impossible.
What? Did Obama buy into your calculation? Did he deceive on purpose?
You want me to play psychiatrist?
I want you to give me an educated, speculative
My educated guess is that they very cynically inserted stuff into the bill. I'll give you one other example. There was a part of the bill called the Class Act. The Class Act was to ensure long-term nursing home care, which is unbelievably expensive. However, the way it was written in the bill, it wouldn't start for a decade, but you and I would have to start putting in our premiums right now. So they'd have a decade of premiums with no expenditures. They know the CBO can only project 10 years. So in the end, that would look as if
so you didn't count the expense of the nursing home against the revenues coming in.
Because it was delayed. That's highly cynical.
Okay. In your opinion, how much is this going to cost the federal government to insure people who don't have insurance? Do you have any estimates?
I was estimating, a lot of people who looked at this were estimating at the beginning it would be $1 trillion, at least $1 trillion over a decade, maybe $2 trillion. It's going to be, and you know what they're going to have to do? They're going to have to raise taxes, and they might even have to introduce a VAT, the kind of tax, a sales tax of sorts.
I don't
that
think
they
that's
have in
going to
Europe.
happen if the Democrats lose power. I don't think that'll. I think they'll rescind the whole thing. If it's as chaotic, if it continues to be as chaotic as it is now, this thing's going to be thrown out. Real quick, and I only have 30 seconds. Do you think it's unconstitutional for the president to take an existing law that he signed and say we're not going to enforce part of that law, the employer mandate? Is that unconstitutional?
Of course it's unconstitutional. The Constitution says the executive has to faithfully execute the laws, and here it is faithfully ignoring a law it doesn't like. In the same way, it wantonly passed the DREAM Act unilaterally, an act that the Congress had rejected. It is absolutely lawless in the things it does. This is only the latest example.
All right, Charles, thanks very much. As always, plenty more ahead as a factor.